What's up, Lowlives? It's your boy Rhino back. Yes, I'm back with another excellent episode of the Lowlife podcast. With me, as always, my boy, Danny Panhead.
Hey, welcome to your Friday, Low Lives.
Yeah, coming off a brief hiatus. The first time I haven't been on a Lowlife podcast episode since I started.
Yep. It
I
was
didn't
awkward.
realize that.
Yeah, it was weird.
But Dan, you did a fucking awesome job.
Thanks, dude.
I mean, I don't know if you even saw all the messages, but like we got a lot of messages going, "Yay, Dan, way to go, Dan."
Cool. No,
Yeah.
I didn't really, but there were lots of people that reached out to me and offered encouraging words and stuff. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
The next step is I'm gonna have you do a solo and then upload it and
Yeah,
create
and do the
thumbnails and all
editing
that
and
shit.
shit. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
That was great. I felt like fucking shit last week. I think I developed an ulcer or some shit.
Mm.
My stomach's still kind of fucked up, dude.
I bet, man. There's some crazy shit going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Life's hard. You know what's not hard? Building a chopper. Like today we're gonna be going over what I think is probably a newcomer's biggest fear when
Mm.
it comes to building bikes is the electrical systems, the wiring. I was there too. When I first got my first bike and I was like, all right, I can cut metal, I could learn how to weld, but wiring, I mean, that's a mystery, you know? You look at a wiring diagram, it is very intimidating until you realize how little a fucking bike needs to go vroom. And then it gets real easy. So today we're going to go through, I got some tips. I actually pride myself on my wiring. I actually take a lot of time and I'm really thoughtful about it. And I have zero wiring issues. I have zero electrical issues. And that's the time that you put up front doing this the right way is going to save you a lot of fucking heartache down the line. You snap a chain, you know what's wrong. But with wiring, it's invisible. You don't see the electricity. So it fucking sucks,
If
you
you do
know?
see the electricity, it's a really easy problem to fix.
Dude, I've had some really weird wiring issues on bikes that I've owned that I didn't wire, you know?
Mm.
Like at one time I had a short on a wire that was touching like a braided brake line,
Yeah.
And I fucking figured it out by accident, but it was like wicked hard to diagnose because it was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And it was just like, I think like some electrical tape from this fucking bozo had pulled off and it was like touching a braided brake line shorting. So,
No kidding.
um, yeah. So, anyways, doing your wiring correctly in taking a lot of time and planning it out and using the right materials and shit, it's going to go a long way. And it's fun. If you get good at it, it's actually kind of fun. I don't know. Some people still hate it, but let's just go through it real quick. I'm going to go through what I know. Here's just like a disclaimer up front. I'm not an electrician, dude. I don't even know if this is the right way to do it, but I've done a bunch of bikes similarly like this, and they all work, so it must be fine. But again, you can go online and just type in chopper wiring harness for literally any model bike that you have in any configuration, and you can find someone's hand drawn diagram. And it really is that simple. But I'm going to try to explain it the way that it makes sense to me, in the way that like I went from I'll never be able to wire a bike to, oh, that's really fucking easy. Okay. And then I'll get into some more of the specifics of it. Well, let's just start off with the basics. You're going to need some motherfucking wire and some wire cutters. All right. Wire cutters, these things are fucking cheap and they're a great tool. Invest in a decent set. Don't get the Harbor Freight ones for $1.99. Those things fucking suck. And you're gonna want ones that can crimp and do multiple different sizes, right? Because I'm not gonna. Also, this is like wire sizes. You could argue about that till the cows come home, okay? But there's basically a couple of sizes that I would recommend. Your 10, your 12, maybe a 16. Like those are those are all fine. We're not talking about huge currents here, okay? You might need a 6 gauge or a 4 gauge for stuff coming off the battery. Do your research on that. Use whatever you feel comfortable with, right? It depends on a lot of different factors, like the size of your battery, what kind of output like how big the motors are. There's a lot of different factors, but we're talking
The
about choppers.
amperage.
So I'm talking about Sportsters. I'm talking about shovel heads. Talking about pan heads. I'm talking about fucking Yamaha XS 650. Oh, actually, I'm not talking about that because I have not wired up the metric bikes.
Mm.
And I heard those XS 650s. I mean, they sell kits and shit because their wiring is all fucked up. This is for a Harley Davidson. These are the ones that I have. Principle's the same, and they all have the same basic components. So, if you want a wiring diagram for a CB750 chopper, it's going to be very similar to this, right? Some things are going to change, but this is essentially how it works. So, you get your wires. I would recommend getting different colored wires because if all your wires are fucking black, then you're gonna be like, "What?" Some of them split off and shit, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck goes to what?" So what I like to do is, red, black, and for different components, I'll use blue or green or whatever, just so I know what that goes to. When it's buried in a frame and I pull it out, I know exactly what wire to pull out. So that's just a little tip. Here's another little tip, okay? When you're doing your wiring, you don't have to solder everything in place. This is called a Wago. And it's just a little clip. You can use these in residential shit too. They sell them for fucking thousands of these little plastic things for pennies on the dollar, right? So they're wicked cheap. And this is what I use for mock up, like outside the bike, just to make sure everything works. So then you're not cutting and resoldering and all that bullshit. Little Wagos, you just clip in, you run your fucking headlight into here, and you can fucking run this to that, and you just clip them in and mock it up. So Wagos, these things are really helpful for mock-up, especially if it's your first time doing it. If you're a pro, you don't need that shit. You're gonna need some connectors, spade connectors, what are the I'm having a brain fart because 'cause it's been such a shit
Eyelet.
day. Eyelet, yeah. Get different connection type. You use whatever, you're gonna use a lot of the eyelet ones. There's gonna be a bunch of different sizes, so get a bunch of different sizes. Again, dude, the quality of these doesn't really matter, dude. I get dozen count off fucking Amazon, and it has every fucking piece you could possibly ever need. So just get those. Or, go to your local hardware store, Napa or something, get some better ones. I don't give a shit. It's a chopper, dude. It doesn't require the best connectors, okay? You're gonna need a soldering iron and some solder. Get the cheapest one you can get. Mine costs like $10, and it came with a length of solder that I think I'm still using to this day. It's fucking cheap, dude. All right, so when it comes to wiring, what I do is you don't crimp, okay? If you're listening to me right now, if you can hear the sound of my voice, you don't crimp. You don't crimp this stuff and just leave it, all right? I did that, been down that road, all right? I have many a friend with wires getting pulled out of these fucking crimps, all right? So we're crimping and we want a mechanical connection with these things, but you're also going to solder them in, all right? And all your connections, you're going to solder. I did a video on how to solder. It's on our YouTube. So go check it out. It's fucking simple. It's stupid simple. And it's going to give you the best connections. You're not going to have fucking shit pulling out. These old fucking bikes, dude, they vibrate like a motherfucker. And you might have a nice crimp, you think, until a few hundred miles down the road when that fucking, now your tail light fucking doesn't work, And you have a wire shorting out, ask me how I know, on your sissy bar. Okay? It actually shut my bike off. Okay?
Mhm.
So it's a fucking pain in the ass and it's dangerous. So what we're going to be doing is go watch my fucking video or go watch any video about how to do an electrical solder. You're going to take your fucking wires, you're going to crimp your connections on there, you're going to solder them in, and they're going to be solid. They're going to be waterproof too because you're going to be using shrink wrap.
Heat
Go
shrink.
online again. Go to Harbor Freight, go online, get a bunch of different sizes of shrink wrap. Five
Heat shrink.
sixteenths, 3/8, quarter inch. There's going to be all types you're going to need. Okay? But you're not just crimping this shit, and it's going to be watertight. And that's if you do it this way, all right? And that's bare minimum. I'm not even telling you to buy expensive shit here, okay? You're going to have solid connections that don't fall apart and crack and shit, all right? Because it doesn't take much to be decent at soldering. It's not like hard to do, all right? You just warm a wire up and then stick some fucking metal in it. and then that bitch will never fucking come apart. Okay. It's not going to tug loose. So I just had to get that off my chest. But yeah, go check out my soldering video. It's on fucking YouTube, and I go through specifically the secret of how to solder. Okay. And it's with the tinning of the soldering tip. Cause I was one of those dudes stuck the fucking soldering iron onto the wire until the fucking plastic jacket started smoking, you know? And you don't have to do that. So go watch my video. I tell you exactly how to do it. It's really simple. And then all your connections are going to be fucking sick, dude. Some components that we're going to be working with today are an ignition switch. All right. A fuse block. Okay. I got some fuses and some breakers. Okay. I got some wire. I got a big length of wire. There's a big, what is this, 4 gauge or 6 gauge wire? This is what, like, gonna go to a starter or something like that. What I'm gonna go through is just a kick only with points, like a shovel head or a sports or something. The extra steps here are really easy. If you get this basic thing down, you can add extra components real easy, right? So, like, if you don't wanna have a kick only and you have a starter, well, that's just another wire coming off of this diagram. All right. And again, a million fucking wiring diagrams online. They'll tell you exactly how to do it. But I'm going to teach you just like the principle of how it works and how it makes sense in my mind. Okay. So let's start. I always start with the battery, all right? Because that's where the power is coming from. All right. Doesn't matter what kind of battery you have or where it's mounted, right? You're going to have positive and a negative terminal. This is as simple as it gets. All right. You take the fucking negative side and you attach it to your frame. All right. So you just take a big fucking wire like this, make it beefy. Okay. Because it's in your oil bag or whatever. It's nobody's seeing it. Okay. Get a nice beefy one. Take it from the negative terminal to your frame. Now, your entire frame you can ground to. Okay. Still with me? All right. When you ground that motherfucker, make sure you take the paint off, okay? Because paint is not a very good conductor of electricity. So make sure that where you're mounting it, there's no paint, okay? And it's metal on metal, all right? Anything that you ground is going to be that way, okay? So when you ground any component, make sure it's metal on metal. Otherwise, it's not going to ground, okay? Ask me how I know. Sometimes I do forget that. And you think that, oh, well, there's like a bolt going into your frame, you just tap the frame, so you have like 1/8 inch of thread that is making contact. You want a really good ground. Good grounds are going to make that circuit complete. And bad grounds are hard, by the way, to to diagnose
Mhm.
because it's invisible, and you're just like, well, works sometimes and cuts out other times. So have a nice, solid, good ground, and make sure that that fucking bolt is in there. All right. Next thing that you're going to do is you have to get energy to all your different components. All right. So from the positive terminal, and again, you can do this a million different ways. The most common way is with a key, right? So you have a post on your key and it's going to say B. B is for battery. All right. So from your battery, you go through a breaker. Okay. Ask anybody 30 amp, 20 amp, you'll get 1,000 different opinions. I think 20 is good.
I do 30.
I do 30. This is a 30, you know? But from your battery, just a short little pigtail, and again, you can mount this stuff however you want. Everybody's going to be different. I like to have all my electronics like in one spot under the seat. So when I'm diagnosing it, I can see that's the heart. That's where the breakers are, the fuses and all that stuff. Positive battery through a breaker into your B on your ignition switch. Now there's 2 position switches, there's 3 position switches. You only really need 2. You need off and on, you know? And you can get fancy and do the momentary start ones where you can, like a car, or an old car. Now you just push a button, right? But you're going to have your bead. Now this thing has power going to it, but it's in the off position. All right? When you switch it on, basically, however many posts you have here is going to correspond to each click of this key. So when you click once, let's say it's a G or something, right? Sometimes there's IG, G, sometimes there's an accessory. Doesn't matter what it says on it. You're just powering the next post, okay? So the B, the power from the battery going into the B, when you turn the key goes to that next post. So from this key, you're going to have a wire that runs, and this is how I like to do it. I like fuses. Some people like breakers. I like using this. This is a ganged fuse block, I think it's called.
Mhm.
And there's a little post here and a strip of metal that powers each one of these. And you can have six fucking, depending on what you're hooking up, you can have six, you can have four, you can have three. These come in all different shapes and sizes. All right. Really cheap, easy to mount. And I usually mount this like right on top of the battery to like a battery strap or to the side of the battery box, somewhere where I can see it. You'll notice that there's little LEDs. So under your dark seat in the middle of the night or whatever, you can peek. And if one of these things, you can see which fuse is on or off. Okay. So from your second post, you're bringing power to your fuse box. And this is the other reason I like using these fuses. It makes wiring really simple. Like, cause then you're just wiring from this. All right. So each one of these fuses is going to go to one of the components on your bike, right? So you're going to have a fuse for your headlight. If you don't have a fuse for your headlight and you have a short or a surge or something, you could blow up your headlight. All right. So if you do have one of those and you have a fuse that costs a cent, then you're just pulling this out and putting the fuse back in. Okay. So let's just run this to the headlight since I'm already on it. All right. So you're going to get your little fucking spade connector and you plug it in here and you run a wire any way you want up to your headlight. Your headlight's going to have two wires coming out of it, usually, sometimes three if you have high low beam. But let's just simplify it. One of them is going to be for power. This is power out. Okay. So when you plug this in, remember we went from the battery to the ignition to this. All right. Out here, and you just run a wire to your headlight to the power one. Now your headlight way the fuck over there, grounded to the frame. Real easy, all right? So now your headlight's 100% wired with one wire coming from this fuse block and one going to your frame. Now, when you turn that key on, your light's going to light up. All right? Next thing that you want to do is let's just go to the brake light. The next thing on your fuse is going to go to your brake light. Power to your brake light. Your brake light, again, depending on what you use for a brake light, you're going to have to ground it. All right. Some of them are grounded with the housing. Some of them have a wire that comes out. Just ground it. If it's grounded with the housing, that's fine. Ground it to whatever. And now you have power to your brake light. All right. Your brake light is going to have another wire that goes to the switch, the brake light switch. And you're typically going to have at least one brake on your chopper, and you should have a working brake light. Now your brake light's going to have, a running light that's always on, that's your power in, and then the brake light switch when you wire it into that is going to make a brighter light. So in and out of the brake light switch, they come in a bunch of different way. You know, usually it's one that's like teed off, like from the factory. It's like a brake light that you screw into like a T that's in your hydraulic line. I like to use, they have banjo bolts that have brake light switches in them, and those are pretty clean. You can get those really nice, but and if you're getting a banjo bolt anyways, might as well, you know, wire it up. So I use the banjo bolt ones. They work fine and it doesn't
They're the
require a lot
best.
of pressure. Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty cheap too. Like it's not big money. It's costs about the same as a banjo bolt. So all right, now we got headlight, brake light, and now we need to power the coil, right? So from the fuse box, we're doing points here, okay? It gets a little bit more in depth. We'll go into it a little bit. Let me just do the points. Points is as stupid simple as it gets. From the fuse box, one of these, you're going to have oh, and I'll tell you what, again, use whatever amp size you want. I use 15 on the lights. Some people would recommend 20. I think you don't want to go too high. You can always bump it up. I keep an assortment in my tool roll of different amps, that I use. But you're going to use basically 15, 20, or 30 for all of this. And I use 15 for the lights. I think that works good.
Same.
So out of this fuse box, you're gonna have another one here. This is gonna go to your coil. All right. So your coil, if it's points, it's gonna be a 5 ohm coil, and it's gonna have a post on one side, put a spade connector on this, wire it up to your coil on one side of the coil. The other side of the coil is gonna go to your points. All right. So from the other side, it's just gonna run down to your points. The points goes into the little
Nose cone?
fucking yeah. Yeah. Points. The points cup. I was saying the fucking name, I didn't even know. And then I'm not even gonna get into the points. Again, if you want to know how to set up points, there's a million. There's literally millions of YouTube videos on that. They didn't help me at all. I'm an electronic ignition guy. All right. And when you get, and I'll just say with any kind of electronic ignition, I go Dyna 2K. That's just what I've used because one, it came with my shovel. And I think I put one of those on the Sportster too. I was trying to think of that today. I was like, yeah, I think I put one in the Sportster. And yeah, there's more wires and you can have it run to your Vos and all that. But here's the best part. That shit, the wiring diagrams for those things are silly stupid. It tells
Mhm.
you exactly what to do. So it's like, all right, the green wire goes here and the purple wire goes here. And if you're not using those, cut them off and tuck them in. So points is just the easiest. There's one wire that goes from one end of the coil and then the points down to the points. And that's just telling, again, I'm not going to get into how points works, but you guys should know that at this point. And if you don't, go watch a YouTube video because they go into depth about how to set up points. And there's a lot of different ways people do it, and it's different for every bike. And I would say for points on these old bikes, definitely refer to your service manual because they will tell you online, different bikes from different, even if it's like the same bike from different years, sometimes they have different markings on how to time it and shit.
Yep.
And some people are like, "Oh, time it off the dash." Some people are time it off the dot or time it off the advance, and blah 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 blah. Just go to your service manual, and it'll tell you for your specific year how to set up your points. All right, or if you're going to upgrade and do, which I suggest, if you have the money or if you find one at a swap meet, dude, electronic ignitions are fucking easy to set up. They're really easy and they work really well. I haven't had any problems with them. But I can't talk about. Everybody loves their setup. Everybody loves their UKI or their, you know, what the Ultima they swear by, like whatever they've had luck with. Points are great though because you can get them at a fucking auto parts store on the side of the road. And to swap them out, it's one fucking wire. So it's really easy. So if you can get away with points, they're cheap enough too that it's like one of those things you can theoretically keep in a tool bag is an extra set of points.
I do.
You're not gonna keep another Dynatech ignition in your tool roll. No fucking way. And then wire in 5 different wires, not gonna happen. Alright, yeah, so now the only other thing that you have to wire in is your regulator rectifier, or whatever the fuck you have. That little finned thing up front. This one's wicked easy to they have factory wiring, goes from your regulator into your stator, and it's a plug this long, and it's proprietary. It just, like, plugs right into your case. Boom, easy. The wire from your regulator, you're going to want to run back through your breaker to go to your battery. Some people will run it right to the battery positive terminal. But again, if there's nothing then protecting your battery, if there's I've seen people melted batteries.
Mhm.
So run an inline fuse at the very least, or run a breaker. You can run it off the same breaker that your battery's going out to your ignition from. And I forget which pole, because on these breakers, there's a copper
The
pole
other
and a silver. Is it the
Yeah,
copper?
I I
I
don't
always get it
remember.
mixed up.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I don't even know if it matters. I think it works both ways.
It does.
Yeah, but there's one that's preferable, I'm told. But I don't know. Just again, to Google that. You guys have Google? So that's it, dude. That's as simple as it gets. Now you have a bike that you can kickstart and it's gonna start up. So we have one key position, dude. As soon as you turn that on, the positive energy or the positive terminal is now feeding into here. When you click that key on, it's powering that fuse block. Everything has power going to it. And as soon as you start that bitch up, the points are gonna start firing, and that regulator and stator are gonna be recharging your battery. That completes the circuit, and that's how You don't if your battery runs out of energy really quickly and your bike dies, there's something wrong with the fucking wiring you did to from your regulator. And if anything's not working, like your headlight or whatever, you're like, all right, well, there's only one fucking wire going from this fuse block, so it must be the fuse block. It's so fucking simple to do it this way. And it's really easy to add in here, right? So, like a headlight, for example, you want a headlight switch, you want a high low beam, just add a fucking switch, dude. Add a switch, mount it anywhere, put it in line. After you've even wired it, you can add this stuff. You just snip it and put a switch in line. One's on, one's off. Now you can turn your headlight on and off. If it's a 3-position switch, you can have your high beam come out of your headlight, right? You're going to have 3 wires. Wire it into one of the positions. It's pretty fucking dead simple, all right? And you can add on to this is basic. And again, I'm not even gonna show you what I did. Should I show them? It's really bad. I'm gonna just share how I put this together 3 minutes before the show. It's pretty stupid. But this is really easy, right? Ground battery. All right. This breaker, actually, I fucked up. I put the regulator right to the positive of the battery.
Fucker.
Out to the breaker. Breaker goes to B, right? You click your key on, it's on the G, feeds into the center of the fuse block. Fuse is going to power your brake light switch, your headlight, your fucking coil down to your points, regulator into the stator, back to this should come up here. And there you go. I'm not sharing that, so don't ask. Go get a better one. There's better ones online. This was just for me working through this was like, all right, so you start here and go here. Now, again, if you want an electric start, real easy. You're just going to add a fucking electric start, a wire to your starter, right? There's a post on your starter that you're going to run a big fucking chunky wire because you're not going to use fucking, a fucking 12 gauge or something. You want a big beefy wire going to your starter, and it's going to have some sort of button on it, right? So there's a place where you can wire in a button and you just put a push button, literally, or you can get one of those. I've always used the ones that you just push in, the plunger one. It's like you screw off the cap and it's just like a spring in there. Those work super good. They suck if they're near one of your exhaust pipes, though. You burn your fucking hand all the time. You have to start
Mhm.
your bike with your glove on. Yeah, again, if you want to add anything, USB port or something, or a fucking cigarette lighter, add a line coming off that fuse block. You can add a bunch of shit off that fuse block and have it on its own independent circuit from the fuse block. So that's why I like it. Or go to Gremlin Wiring. I just wired up one of those chopper wiring kits. It has no fuses in it. I didn't use his. His are nice. This one came from a different company, but dead simple, simpler than this. This is just how I do it, but you can get even simpler. You don't have to have a fuse, I like it like this because it safeguards the different components. And to me, visually, when I'm wiring it up, it's really easy because once you get power to the fuse block, then you can just go, all right, now I'm going to do the light, out to the light, out to the brake light, out to this, out to that. And it's really easy to add stuff. If you have like a 6 fuse block gang or whatever, you can be like, "Oh yeah, I want to have like a USB on here, to charge my phone." If if you're nice like that, or cigarette lighter is great. That's a cool thing that I think I might put on the shovel head.
Yeah, very cool.
I might even pick up smoking again just so I can use it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right, I think that's all I had on fucking wiring, dude. Did I miss anything or fuck anything up or anything you want to add?
I got a couple little things. So I'm a butt connector guy, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But my thought process is if you're going to use butt connectors and you're not going to solder your shit, you better get the ones that are heat shrink, and then you better put heat shrink over them. So what I do for butt connectors is I've used them on heavy duty shit, and I've seen them fail, but then I've seen them not fail, and it depends on how you treat them. If you're heat shrinking them and then you're putting heat shrink over them and you're keeping them in a place where they are not going to bend, if you got a little length of wire like this coming out of your frame that you need to go to your coil and you want to wire for whatever reason you want to put a splice there, that's not a good spot because you're putting strain on that shit. And eventually the adhesive that holds to the wire is going to get brittle and let go. And that's how you get shit in there. plan where you're putting it. Leave yourself, what is my next point? Strain relief. Strain relief is like, you see the dudes who run their brake light all the way up and wrap it around their sissy bar, or you see the dudes who at their headlight, there's a little curly cued wire that goes in. That's because they're building in strain relief. Strain relief is when you turn your handlebars, you don't make that wire so tight it breaks or it rips something out of your headlight or whatever. So you
That's a
build in,
great point. I just wanna add to that real quick is that's why I like to use a little heavier gauge wire than is required, because you can take this, you wrap it around your screwdriver, and I make all my connections with those little pigtails in case I need to replace, like, a connection if I fucked it up or something, or for strain relief if I'm moving it around. Like, if I have to pull out the fuse block or I have to pull on it or something or move something around, it's not gonna disconnect. So don't make it so short. And yeah, the way to do it is just take your screwdriver, wrap it around a few times, and just give it a couple inches of little piggy tail, and it looks professional as fuck.
yeah. So build yourself in some strain relief and then plan where you're going to put your connectors, where you're putting your splices. Use your preferred splice, but it better be the fucking heat shrink one or you're a dummy.
The heat
There's
shrink
also
butt connector, is that the one that has like the little solder in the middle?
some of them do. I don't think I've ever encountered ones that have solder in them, but I've seen those. The ones that I use, you slide your wire ends in and then you crimp. There's a metal tube in the middle and you crimp it, use a set of actual crimpers and crimp it. So you're pinching the wire on both sides. And then after the metal tube, there's two heat shrink sleeves on either side. So you melt each side, it grabs each side of the wire. And then I slide heat shrink over the whole kit and caboodle. That's why I say pre-plan. If you put heat shrink over the top of a butt connector that you just did, it's going to be real rigid and you're not going to be able to get it to make a nice little loop-de. So plan your strain relief and plan how long your wire is going to be so that you can hide your butt connector for your coil underneath your tank or inside your frame or your oil bed, whatever. Plan it so it's going to be, you know what I mean? And however you secure your wires in a loom or whatever, make sure that has a little bit of wiggle room, and that your wires have a place to go inside them, or make them really fucking snug so they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I guess I was yeah, the thing I was talking about, they're like they come in all different sizes. There's a little thing of solder in the middle, so if you're
Yeah.
connecting 2 wires, you can just slide it over, you hit it with the heat gun, and then it shrinks and it heats up the solder to make an actual soldered connection with the heat shrink, and those are pretty handy, but they're kind of a pain in the ass because sometimes you forget to put the heat shrink on and shit like that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Good fucking point about the strain relief because that's actually huge, especially
Yeah.
like at the handlebars and
Right.
fucking when you're servicing it. If you have to pull stuff out, it's nice to have a little extra strain relief.
And like you said, you physically have more wire. So if something gets abraded or you're like, fuck, I got to move this switch or whatever, if
Scalp
you
it.
do a couple of them little wraps, it'll stay in the copper will stay in the pigtail shape or whatever. You know what I mean? So you have extra wire if you need it. Back to the circuit breakers real quick. They make resettable circuit breakers. They make circuit breakers that are similar to a fuse where they've got a little button, a little piton that'll, if it trips, it pops up. So for one, you know which one it was. So say you're running two separate breakers for your ignition and for the rest of the bike, right? You'll know which one pops. It's just like a fuse, but it's a circuit breaker. So you can get 30 amp
I
and all that
use
other
those
shit.
on my Sportster, the Rhino Resto one, and those are handy too because you can see physically
Exactly.
what circuit is popped. So those
And
are
then,
actually pretty cool.
right, after you repair whatever is tripping it, you just pop the little piton back down and you're
Yeah,
back in
and if it
business.
pops immediately back up, you didn't
Then
fix
you
it.
know you didn't fix it. Exactly. For points, Blue Streak all day, every day only. Don't go get any other brand or configuration. Just use Blue Streak. For an entire set of Blue Streak points, the entire ordeal that you need, everything, it's like $28. Don't
Yep.
just get Blue Streak, period. The condenser, all of it, all Blue Streak
Everybody
internals.
carries them too. So if you even need,
Everybody.
like, components of a
Yeah,
points setup, you can get it at a Napa or
right.
whatever,
There
O'Reilly's.
are there are still, look at all the old muscle cars that you see out there, especially like the 60s and 70s and whatever. They're all running points too, and they're all running Blue Streak points. Like you can get this shit at any auto store. And then for LED lights, when you're running LED lights, like say for example FNA specifically, they actually Eric will send you a rectifier with your light. You have to run a rectifier with those LED lights, or when you hook your direct current from your 12-volt anti-gravity battery, you will fry a bulb. Ask me how I know.
Is it a rectifier
It has
for
to
just
be,
the light?
yes. So, or it has not, is it rectify? I might be using the wrong term there. I'm having a bit of a brain fart. The Prism ones have one built in. What the fuck is the term? Is it rectifier? Now I've got that weird thing where I'm questioning what it is. Rectifier? What the fuck is it called?
Light.
Separator, not a separator. Resistor, that's it.
Is
Resistor
it?
comes with
Okay.
a resistor. There we go, a resistor, because you're resisting the amperage coming out of your battery down to a manageable level for your LEDs, because they don't require that much amperage. If you don't run one of those, you have to make sure that your light, like the Prism, the newer LED one that I have on Boot Boy, that one is self-resisted. It has a resistor built into it already, into the cob, so you're good. You just run that right to your battery, you're all set. But some of them, like the FNA lights, are not. They don't have a resistor built in. That's why they're so goddamn skinny, because they don't have a resistor in them. So you're going to have to hide. It's a little box. It's like 2-inch by 1-inch box or whatever. I usually just fix them somewhere hidden with Velcro, and that's
Right.
it. There's 2 wires that come off it or whatever. So it's pretty simple, stupid, but that's how you keep from frying your LEDs. And then, yeah, I mean, do you want to go into electronic ignition much? I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
I do. I personally, I've run CompuFire. I've run the Dyna 2K. I'm running an SNS High 4 in Boot Boy, just because that's an R&R motor. And what I liked about, I will probably forever go with the SNS High 4 after having dealt with this one, because it's pretty fucking expensive. It's like $400, $300, but it's very, very tunable, much like the Dyna 2K has a bunch of different modes and stuff. The SNS one has, the reason why I'm running it on Boot Boy is because Boot Boy is kickstart only, and I want to also run electronic ignition. I ran points on it for a minute, and I was dealing with some other issues. I have the points, the entire points and coil and everything in my bag. So if my electronic ignition shits the bed, I can very quickly switch to a points ignition very easily. But the High 4 has kickstart mode built into it. It's zero dead revs mode built right into it. So for my
Yeah.
bike, where it's a kickstart only bike and it's a high compression engine, and I'm built like a popsicle stick, it makes it a lot easier when I kick it over. I'm getting the thing to fire first time. If you don't have zero dead revs, you have a high compression motor or whatever, you want to look into it, because your motor won't, if you're using electronic ignition, it won't fire on the first revolution, and that's to prevent strain on the bottom end of the motor.
And I did
So you
that
have to kick all the way through it.
on the shovel head. I just said fuck it, because with the Dyna 2KI, there's not a dip switch for the zero dead revs. But the way I understand it is, well, the starter will do like 3 revolutions before it fires. So zero dead revs will make it fire on that first kick. On the shovel head, I fucking kicked it 100 times before it starts. So zero dead revs was fucking moot at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah. You had other issues going on.
Yeah, yeah, but that's a good point. And getting one of those computers that you can like program those things is prohibitively expensive. And I think it's also tied to like the fucking like a serial number, so you can't like pass it around. You know, it's one of those
Right.
things
The
where,
tuners and shit.
yeah, the tuners,
Yeah.
like as soon as if you see one on eBay for like $200 and you're like, oh, that's sick, like it's not gonna work on yours. They figured that thing out. They figured that
Just
part out
double
of the
check.
sale.
Yeah. Double check, because yeah, they've malwared a lot of that shit out where you can't. It's like your
Yeah.
Netflix subscription where you can't share your Netflix subscription with your friend anymore. So it's, yeah, just make sure before you buy some shit. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Also, if you're going to run an electronic ignition, know that you will probably more than likely not be running a 5 ohm coil. You'll be running a 3. So just make sure you have everything you need for your system. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. And if you have questions, reach out. But yeah, CompuFire, SNS, I forget what Throttle Addiction sells, what their brand is, but there's a whole bunch of them out there, and they're all tried and tested.
Yeah, and like I said, like everybody has an opinion and experience with them. Like I just I've been going with Dynatech because a couple of reasons. I've done it, so I can do it easily again, and I don't need to like look at the wiring diagrams and do that. Their customer service is awesome. I actually called them up before I even bought it, and I was like, "This is what I'm working with. This is what I want." And a dude from America picked up and he fucking talked to me and he walked me through it. And he's like, "You're gonna need this coil, this, and this." And so that goes a long way in my book. Is like customer service that actually is from the company that's American based, like, so you can understand them and you don't go through fucking 7 you don't talk to an AI chat bot first for an hour and fucking then they connect you to some guy in India, and then they could finally connect you to someone. Like, this dude just picked up second ring and was like, he knew what he was talking about. Yeah, on the coil end too, there's 2 different typically, you're gonna have a single fire or dual fire. And that's, your prerogative there too. Again, one of those things where you can go deep in a rabbit hole on what's better, but single fire is going to fire only one cylinder at a time, right? Whereas dual fire just fires both spark plugs at the same time on both, whether it's compression stroke or not, you know? Um, and then as far as the timing goes, like we can't even get into the timing because it's so different on each bike. But
Yeah.
that's something that you're going to go to your service manual, or if there's a YouTube video for your specific bike, it'll tell you exactly how to do it
Mhm.
with whatever. By the way, too, like if you have an electronic ignition, timing it is the same as it is with points. Only it's easier because there's a little LED light on it. You're just gonna pop it in and you're gonna rotate it until you see the little LED light go on. Whereas with points, there's no LED, you know? So it makes
No,
it a
but
little harder.
there's a cute little spark though if you
There
lift the
is.
lift the
Yeah, so you
finger
have
up.
to do it in the dark with all the lights off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And this is static timing. So, if your bike's not running, you're gonna be static timing it because it's not running. You can't hook up a fucking light and fucking time it that way, which I've never done even when
Nope,
I've gotten it running.
me either. I've
You can
used a
get it
test
in the
site at work.
neighborhood, and here's the thing is these old machines will fucking run even if it's timed wrong, dude. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, it'll be harder to get it to run maybe, or if you time it bad, you might fucking lose a shin bone, or
Mhm.
something like that, but it'll still run, and then you can fine tune it from there, so that we're just trying to get you to a point where it runs, and then you can start troubleshooting it and be like, "Oh, I need to retard the timing a little bit," or get someone who's not retarded to do the timing.
Yeah, that's preferable for sure.
You have to unretard the timing after I'm done.
Timing's very easy though. Um, yeah, it once you know what fucking timing marks and everything you're using, it's very easy.
Yeah,
Points or
and there's
electronic.
100, finding what the actual you want it to be timed off of the compression stroke on the front cylinder, things like that you fuck up, like you thought you had top dead center, but it's on the rear cylinder, not on the
So you,
compression stroke, shit
yeah,
like
and
that.
then you timed it 180 out, and yeah,
Yeah. Just keep on fucking it up until eventually you fuck it right, you know?
yeah, for sure.
Fuck it into existence.
Yep. And especially if you're doing a kickstart bike and it's your first time and you're timing it and it doesn't fucking send your knee into the atmosphere, then you didn't get the full experience. So you should advance your timing and experience that first.
Yeah.
That
The
shit
other thing
sucks.
is, yeah, when you're doing the time and just in general, when you have a kickstart bike, especially with Harleys, you can't puss out, dude. You have to kick it all the way through. And I know it's scary because it just fucking launched you, or it just fucking you got a new fucking birthmark on your tibia or whatever. But
Yeah.
when you kick that thing, every time you kick it all the way through, like you fucking like you know what you're doing. And that's the only way you can't pussyfoot it. It won't work. Your timing's gonna be all fucked up, and you're gonna hurt yourself too.
Don't jump off your fucking kicker pedal either. Don't like as soon as it gets down to perfectly vertical below you, fucking jump right off and let it. As long as it's down there, you're good. Let the bike start running. If your foot's still on it and still straight down, the spring in that mechanism has backed off and you're not making contact anymore. So you can sit there for a second, let the bike start running, give it a little juice or whatever if it's coughing, and then get your foot the fuck out of the way. But you don't have to like, when I first started doing this, I thought it was like kick jump, kick jump. Like as soon as you get to the bottom, you have to get the fuck off of it, or it's going to either send you back up or it's not going to fire or whatever. But no, the mechanism releases when you're all the way through it for that very reason. So it's okay. Don't jump right off your pedal. Get a good kick and commit to it.
Yeah, and then you'll know because the thing is too, it's like it's not exactly at like 6 o'clock maybe where it goes
Mhm.
all the way through. It's like a little bit past that. So you really need to just stomp on that fucking thing and, just kick it however you're comfortable too. Like the other thing is like some people are not as heavy. So they have to really get like a lot of action to get that thing to go all the way down. But you have to kick it hard. You have to kick it like it's not an easy thing to do. You're not just like that's not entirely true because on my shovel head, I could kind of just like step on it, put my weight on it, and it would kick through and you could hear it. But so it's not about the speed. It's really just about the commitment. Like just do it, kick it all the way through. You don't have to kick it like if it's wicked hard to kick, like something's probably wrong.
Or it's a
Like,
high compression engine.
yeah, or high compression engine, or like I have a lot of meat on my ass. So when I kick something through, like I'm kicking it, it's easier for me being heavier. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you see some of these like some chicks that do it, they weigh fucking 100 pounds and they have to fucking swing their back leg down and around just to with me, it's a little easier 'cause I'm bigger. But
Mhm.
however you want to kick it, some people kick it fucking with one knee on the bike. Some people like to, just figure out what's comfortable to you where you can confidently kick it all the way through. There's no wrong way to do it really, unless well, the wrong way to do it is not kicking it all the way through. But how you do it, what you look like doing it, that's up to you, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's like moshing. You gotta practice by yourself and record yourself a few times before you do it in public. Hey, it is what it is. I have
Do you practice
Yeah, well, I mean,
in
by
the mirror?
practice,
You're
I
like,
mean, n well, moshing when I was 13? Yes, of course. Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah, of course, dude. I wasn't gonna two-step in front of other people without having made sure I didn't look like a fucking mongoloid doing it.
dude, I
Yeah,
saw
of
this
course.
video like today. Uh, there's this kid and he's in like it looks like he wants to start a mosh pit, like nobody else is really moshing. And he keeps on like doing this thing where he's backing up into this guy and he's pushing him. And this guy turns around, dude, and he punches this kid into a different plane of existence, dude. Like he went I think in the video I saw his soul leave his body. Like he punched him so he just turned around. He did it like 3 times backing up into this guy and he turns around and the kid's like coming back at him like facing him this time and he fucking put his whole fucking life on the line with that punch, dude.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
Dude,
that video.
he wasn't a
Yeah.
big kid.
No. Well, what you potentially may have missed was what the dude who got knocked the fuck out was doing was he was crowd killing a bunch of little girls behind him.
That's what it
It was
was?
a bunch of like young teenage girls, and he was backing into them like this, and he was throwing those into a bunch of little girls. And then that dude came across the way and was like, "We're not having that anymore." And the dude kind of brushed him aside, and the guy was like, "No, really," and fucking cold cocked him and knocked him the fuck out. So
All right.
yeah,
He
shit
did
gets
he
handled, man.
yeah. That's so gauche, dude. That's not mosh etiquette. Crowd
What?
killing little girls.
Yeah, man. I mean, don't be there if you're too afraid to get smashed in the face with something. But yeah, don't be a fucking asshole either. Don't be targeting. You just shouldn't be targeting anybody. Just that's the point. We're not there to fucking hurt people. You're there to dance. You know what I mean? Like
True.
I don't know. That's
He
me.
looked like
I'm
he
not a
had it
mocker.
coming to him, even without
That
the
dude.
crowd killing the little girls thing. Like, he was annoying looking, but
Yeah. He probably was a little pissant the whole time, and everybody was sick of him. Because you'll notice after he dropped him, that dude fucking folded in half.
yeah,
There was maybe one person that was like, "Hey, what the fuck, man?" Everybody else was like, "Yeah,
yeah,
that happens."
yeah.
Nobody
That's
was
what I
like,
watched the video and I was like, "Yeah, that
"Mhm,
seems about right. That seems like
yeah."
the correct response." What else? Is there anything else on wiring? Anything we missed?
Not that I can think of. I just would reiterate my method is fuse block, and I do what Ryan was talking about. I have one wire per assembly per component. My coil is green wire. My headlight's a white wire. My tail light's a yellow wire. That's it. There's no other green or red that's it. If it's a red wire, it's a power to or from a battery. That's it. If it's a
Mm,
black wire, it's a ground, period. That way you're on the side of the road and you're like, oh, it's my headlight. I know I'm looking for a yellow wire. And I have underneath my solo seat, I've said this before, but if you're new, on the bottom of my solo seat, I actually took colored markers, paint markers, and in the corresponding color, I wrote my wiring legend, so to speak, on the bottom of it. So it's like I don't even have to fucking guess. I know for a fact what
That's a
color I'm
good
looking
tip.
for.
That
And
was real
the
that's really clever.
I have the fuse block too. I have a 6-gang fuse block. I'm only using 3 of them, so I have my 3 components on the left side, each fuse in its place, obviously, and then I have a duplicate of said fuse in the next row over. There's no power coming in or out of those next 3, but those are my spare fuses, so you don't have to keep them like floating around somewhere or in your bag getting fucked up or whatever. I also color coordinated the port, like where you actually plug your fuse in. Like it's green, white, and yellow on mine. So it's coil, headlight, taillight is all I have. And then coil 1, I took the green marker and I literally outlined the little spot where you plug the fucking fuse into. So I know, okay, that's the green one based off my seat legend. Like there's no fucking it up. Another person could fix my bike wiring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a good standard to have. Like, could somebody else wire or diagnose a wiring issue easily on your bike? And I think definitely somebody could, knowing all that shit. I would say double, triple check everything before you turn your key, especially your coil, especially your expensive components. Double check that. I have fried $200 coils, or not coils, sorry, ignition modules, because it's fucking 2 wires and you had a little too much wacky tobacco and you're talking to a homie while you're putting it all together, like me,
Mistakes were made.
you might put them backward and then you turn them on and the brown smoke comes out and you're out 240. They don't warranty electronic components when you buy them online. So once it's out of the box, it's yours. So just double, triple check, make sure that your components are going where they need to be. And you can test stuff too. You can bench test stuff to your battery specific. You can bench test your headlight. You can bench test your taillight. You know what I mean? All that kind of shit. So if that'll make you feel better and help you know, okay, I've got this wired the right way or whatever, you can
Right.
do that.
Yeah, like, if you don't know what wire does what on your brake light, you can hook it up
Right.
to a battery. Like, you can just
Yep.
press it onto a battery,
Yep.
and, like, be like, "Oh, that's the running light,"
Exactly. Yeah. But most stuff, especially LEDs, it doesn't matter. You have a power in, power out. It can be either. It doesn't matter. You just need to get power to the cob. Shit. There's something else. Protective loom. If you're wiring it internally, use rubber grommets. Like Rhino has said, drill your hole, get little rubber grommets or something to that nature. What you don't want is your wire just going straight from your little bundle down here in your oil bag directly into a hole in your frame and then making a hard turn and going up the neck up toward everything else. And eventually, as you're riding, that little bundle is going to wear away on the frame and cut through your wires. And there you go. So make sure
Yeah.
you have some sort of abrasion mitigation going on.
Yeah, make those smooth transitions. Like, if you drill through a frame, that's a sharp edge, then
Right.
you're asking for it, dude. Like,
Yep.
that's an easy place to
Deburr,
short out. Deeper.
deburr that shit. But also, you can come in at an angle. You can hit your hole. Say you want to drill a hole in your drown tube, hit it with a spring loaded. What do you call it? The
The
fucking
punch.
punch. Thank you. Spring loaded punch, and then when you start your hole, and then when you start to break through the metal, you can angle your drill and go in at an angle. So if
Oh,
your
yeah.
wires are going to come up this way and then go in like this, and you want them to keep a nice radius and not make a fucking 90-degree hard abrasive turn, you can angle that hole. So when it
Right.
comes up, like when I did the fucking internal throttle, where I had it come out of my handlebars, the cable come out of my handlebars, I did that because otherwise it would have been wicked fucking jagged in like a really sharp angle. And that cable's moving and the wind and everything else. So you want it to be a nice smooth transition, get in, deburr all that shit. No hard edges. And then the only forethought thing I would say on wiring is whether or not, like, are you building a show bike art piece where you don't want to see any wires at all? Because fuck it, just do that. Make sure there's no wiring showing. If you're building a road muncher and you're going to fucking hit Sturgis this year from the East Coast, maybe you want to leave your shit exposed or at least easy to get to. On Boot Boy, all of the shit is outside of the frame. Everything's outside the frame. What I actually did was I got some rubber, like really thick wall rubber, like coolant line, more or less. It's like radiator line. And I ran all my wires up the neck through that. And it's like you'd have to like cut it with a fucking like a knife or something or an axe to get through that shit. It's not abrading on anything. It's very well protected. It's tucked up underneath my tank. You'll never see it, and it's all good. Even if fucking gas or whatever leaks on it, it's all set. So, do you want it to be serviceable on the side of the road, or do you want it to be pretty and hidden? You can't really have both, as far as I'm aware. So, just have that in mind when you're doing your shit. Grounds, you want a good ground, like Rhino was saying, it has to be bare metal. If you're running a chrome cycle electric regulator, you're not going to get a good ground. That chrome, for whatever reason, that chrome coating does not get a good fucking ground. So you're going to have to either sand some of it off or use a different fucking
That's actually
regulator,
that's a
rectifier.
good point. On the regulator, I didn't even put the ground, but the regulator is grounded to the frame too.
But
It
they come with a ground
yeah,
wire. Yeah.
yeah,
So you're going to, or it could be case ground. Some of them are case ground.
right.
So what that means is
Yeah,
the
that's the thing.
outside case of that regulator has to be ground to your frame in order for it to receive its ground and do what it's
Yeah.
supposed to do.
And actually, before I forget, while we're talking about that, because case ground, your fucking engine has to be grounded to your frame. So when you're painting your frame, where it's the mounting points of your engine are, right? You can't have paint on those surfaces because that's how the points work, right?
Mhm.
It's if it doesn't have if the engine isn't grounded to the frame because it's sitting on fucking quarter inch of fucking powder coat, then your bike will not run. So cover
You can
those
get your
parts up.
ground right. You can get your ground through your top engine mount too, or whatever. Technically,
Yeah.
if you wanted to run something up
But it's
there, but why the
best
fuck would you do
practice
that?
to just fucking
Yeah.
have that not have paint on it. Yeah.
Because, like I said in the paint episode, you're just gonna fuck it up when you're sliding that thing on there, anyways. So
Nobody's gonna see it, so why have paint on it?
exactly, and it's not like it's gonna rust out from underneath you.
The only other wiring thing that we didn't touch on is the spark plugs. Making your own spark plugs, highly recommend it. You can get
Yeah,
the exact you can mount your coils where you want and you don't have a bunch of extra slack or bullshit or whatever. I made a video about this. This is $15 on fucking eBay and it gives you the perfect crimp. You put it in your vise. It has these will measure how much you have to take off, right? So you're going to score. And again, making your own spark plug wires. There's so many videos online.
lowbrow is a good one.
Lowbrow is a great one, but don't spend a lot on crimpers. Just get this little fucking tool and a razor blade. You're out $15.99 and you can make really good 7 millimeter, 8 millimeter, 8.5 millimeter, any size spark plug wires you want. That shit's wicked cheap too. Spark plug wires, they give you a lot of extra to work with. And if you're mounting them, you want it to have, it's something very visible on your bike. So you don't want to have wicked long, fucking stupid spark plug wires or, too short and it's like pulled straight. So just make your own and then you can make it the perfect length so it has the perfect flow to the fucking wire. And again, you just buy the shit and it's so cheap that you buy it once and you have enough boots for fucking 3 or 4 bikes. They sell
Yeah.
kits.
Yep. Very easy. All of this stuff is very easy. It sounds really daunting if you haven't done it before. It's really easy. The concept of electricity and making it work on your motorcycle is a lot overblown. It was way overblown. You need a power source and you need a ground to make something work. And your switches, your ignition switch, any of the other switches that you involve is literally just turning power on or off. That's it. You're sending power to something when it's on and you're killing the power to it when it's off. That's it. Break it down as simple as it can be in your brain and it'll make it a lot more it'll make it a lot easier to digest.
Yeah, because it's like all it is it's like from the battery, get electricity to the components. If you can get that done, then the only other half of that is grounding everything. The battery's grounded, and then every wire, everything that you put power into has a wire to ground. You ground it to the frame or you ground it to whatever. You can get fancy. You can put in relays and shit like that, like you can get really fancy with this shit. And if you go onto the forums and stuff, people will be like, "You have to have this, you have to have that." No, you don't. You have to have less than I fucking went over with you.
Yeah.
And this is
I was gonna
really easy stuff.
I consider the way we do it to be pretty bougie for chopper
It
shit.
is. It
Yeah.
is. The Sportster I just did with the wiring kit, dude. By the way, the wiring kits that you buy, everything's already cut to length with the connections on it. So you fucking literally can't fuck it up. If you can't wire a chopper with a pre-made wiring harness, then get a different fucking hobby. You're too retarded to work on bikes. I'm sorry to be the one that break it to you. It's that easy. It's
It is.
literally cut to length with the connectors. It's plug and play. So there's no excuse not to wire your own bike. And if you want to do it like the way that me and Dan do it, yeah, it's a little bougie. We got fuses and we got fucking, but it's nice and neat and it's really easy to visualize. And if something goes wrong, it's really easy to identify what the fuck is wrong. So I think it's the best way to do it is a little extra effort and it just pays dividends in the back end.
For sure.
All right. I think we beat this wiring horse to death.
I think
What
so.
else we got, Danny? Let's finish this fucking chopper up.
From here, we're just talking about assembly at this point. So, one thing I wanted to say right off the rip, once your shit is painted, don't wrap it up with anything for a long time. If your shit's still soft or whatever, like we talked about, it's not fully cured, and you wrap it up with, you're like, I'm not going to get to this. I'm not going to be able to put the tank on for another month. Don't wrap it up in saran wrap and put it on your table. It's going to fuck up the paint for sure. So let your shit cure and everything. And then basically the way I do it is I just start putting parts on. I make it a roller. I start with the wheels, I start with the front end, and I start putting the bike together. And I usually try to do that. It always seems to kind of work out. Now that I think about it, I usually will have like a homie over or a couple, and they'll be like, dude, everything's painted. Like everything's here. Let's just assemble it. And we end up just, and it's assembled. But I
It
start
goes
with a roller.
together way quicker than you believe.
It sure does. Cause
Because
I
you
mean, you've
planned
been going
everything
through,
out.
yeah, you have everything out, you've put your hands on everything, you know where everything is, hopefully where your bolts and shit are. Really, the main things I would suggest you have put aside is things like your leather washers, your Loctite. Make sure you have that handy and nearby, because at this point, when I'm bolting shit on after paint, I'm bolting it on with the intent that is going to be where it is when I ride it for the first
Don't
time.
mock
So I
it up
want
at
it to
this
be,
point because you'll
yeah,
forget the Loctite.
right,
Loctite everything in and don't because you'll forget. If you don't Loctite
100%.
something in, you're like, "Oh, I'll get that later." Then it's easy. Loctite's easy too. The blue stuff, I use the blue stuff on most everything except for the pieces that require the red, that stuff. But, it doesn't fully cure for a while, you know what I mean? Like, you can take it on and off and on and off and on.
And heat will melt. Even if I use red on pretty much everything, honestly, if you have something that's like really, really fucking stuck, you use a little crack torch or whatever and put it on
Oh, that's a good point, yeah, a little
and it'll
butane.
melt it. You'll smell it. It's kind of sweet and chemically smelling. Once you start smelling that and fucking
Red tastes the best.
the red does taste the best. Blue tastes good too, but red,
Dude, if they came out with, like,
Loctite
a
has
red
no,
Loctite Jolly Rancher, I'm buying a bag.
dude, they have no business making that shit taste that good. It's fucking ridiculous. Why does it taste that
Why
good?
is it
So,
good?
it's crazy. And why is it that every single time I use it, I end up getting it in my mouth, regardless? That
Every
doesn't happen with like grease. It doesn't happen with like any
Yeah,
other
maybe
spray.
we're
It
doing it
only Loctite.
subconsciously.
Maybe it fucking tastes good, but that's
Yeah, well, it
so
always does end up in your fucking mouth.
every time, and it's in your mouth because you're like, ooh, that's nice. What is that?
Yeah,
Oh shit,
where'd
I'm
that
eating
come
Loctite
from?
again. Fuck. Yeah. So have your Loctite like grease too. Weird Loctite and grease. Have your grease nearby too. When you are like, you want all your bearings and shit to be packed full of grease. If you don't know how to pack a bearing, you're gonna scoop up a bunch of fucking grease, and then you're gonna put your bearing in the grease, and then scoop up a bunch more, and literally squeeze it and fucking pack that shit full of grease. Or get a grease buddy. They're a little thing, just a little vacuum or whatever, and it pumps it full of grease. But make sure your roller bearings are packed full of grease before
Yeah,
you
you
put them
put
in.
the
Don't
grease in
use
your
dry
hand, you
fucking
press
bearings.
that thing in there and just until it squeezes out the top.
You literally will start, if you're like your neck stem bearing, one bearing, you start with two heaping handfuls of grease, and you will
Yeah.
pack it into that
It's
bearing.
amazing
All
how
of it.
much how much grease
Yeah.
those things can take.
So pack them fucking things full of grease. You're going to grease the inside of the races too and all that shit. You're going to grease your axle so it slides through nice. You're going to
Right, I
grease your
use,
front axle.
do you use grease on your axle or anti-seize?
I use grease. Yeah.
I
I
always
use
use I
lithium
always
grease.
use anti-seize.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. The only thing that I've noticed with never seas or anti-seas or whatever is it kind of, after a while, it gets to be like really, really pasty, sticky, where grease tends to like fling off before it gets to that point. And even still, like, even when grease like crusts over, so to speak, and gets dirty, you just kind of wipe it away. It doesn't ever like
I think I'm gonna use grease from
harden.
now on because that anti-seize stuff gets everywhere, and, like, you'll touch your tire, and it'll, like, fucking stay there. It's fucking
Yeah.
like, grease, it'll just you can just wipe it off, but the anti-seize stuff, like, you have a big fucking silver fingerprint.
Yeah. And I'm not aware that anti-seize is supposed to be a lubricant rather than it is an anti-rust agent. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's for is so that like when you're putting it on threads and stuff, it's so the threads don't seize together. I don't believe it's meant to be a lubricant because it gets like chalky, like chunky, fucking like hard. So I don't know that Never Seize is supposed to be a lubricant, but I use lithium grease for it.
Guys, chime in the comments. I need to
Yeah,
know
I don't
what
know.
I've always done anti-seize. I don't know where I picked that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever used it as a lubrication as a lubricant itself. But have your grease
Not even in a
nearby?
pinch.
I mean, in
Honey,
a
all
pinch
I
I
got
would.
is the anti-seize.
In a pinch I would for sure. But grease, yeah, grease is better. Grease is meant to lubricate things and keep them lubricated for long periods of time.
What kind of grease you using? Just white lithium grease or
Not white, it's the brown. I usually use the shit that I use at work, like on trucks and stuff. When I was working at Q's, it's brown
are you doing that
lithium.
in your wheel bearings too, or are you using the high heat? Okay, just everything.
Well, wheel bearings, it depends. If you have sealed roller bearings, you're not doing shit. But
Right.
on the inside of the bearing and on the axle, I'll use that lithium grease. Yeah. But
What
roller
if you have,
bearing,
like,
I
a
mean,
Timken, like, roller bearing on a
right.
wheel? You would
Yep.
use the red? Yeah, okay.
Red, no, red's high heat. I wouldn't, no, red's like, I wouldn't, you don't need to. It's not that high heat. You're not getting like, that shit's made for like boiler room shit, like thousands of degrees. I would use the blues. They're all color coded. I don't know if people know this. The green one's the bio friendly. The blue one's for, it's waterproof and is made for like marine shit. The brown one is general purpose lithium grease, and it has all the anti-rust and anti-corrosion and anti-whatever lubricant shit in it. What's the other? The red is for high temp.
'Cause they call it, like, high temp wheel bearing grease.
I don't
That's why
know.
I always used it in my wheel bearings.
It's I think that's probably like that's an overkill thing. Like it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not like that's gonna fail more prematurely. It's gonna last longer. I think it's probably an overkill thing. But
Okay.
yeah, just the general purpose, the GP shit is what I use. There's just the brown, and
Brown.
I use it in the Bone Orchard Springer and everything. It's good for everything. If it's good for aerial lifts and cranes and shit, it's good enough for your chopper.
Oh, yeah, I got a grease gun. I don't know if I told you.
Battery powered?
No, it's just regular, but Dan came over to my house, and I was like we were working on the girder, and I was like, "I don't think I've ever used a grease gun before," and he was like, "Give me that thing," and it was from, like, the '50s or something. I don't know where the fuck I got it. I think it came with the house or something, and
Yeah.
it did not work, so I ended up getting one off, like, a big one. Takes, like, a huge can. I got just the regular fucking grease, and I made a goddamn mess packing it in there, but it works. It has, like, a universal tip on it and shit,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's really satisfying. You pump it
Yeah.
until the grease starts coming out the seams, and then you just wipe it away, and you're like, "That bitch is greased."
Yep. For sure. That was absolutely when I was doing inspections for Qs, that was a very satisfying part of my job. Like some of those lifts had 20 something grease fittings. And it was like, I'm going through 4 tubes of grease today, baby. Fuck
Dude,
yeah.
yeah.
Like the
It's
cranes and stuff, just
ASMR for
yeah,
fucking
for
dirty.
grease monkeys. Yeah, absolutely. It's fucking great. So have that shit on hand. One thing I will say when you're actually like putting your engine and your transmission and your oil bag and all that shit in there, when you're sliding all of these sharp metal things around your freshly painted shit, you can use pool noodles to protect your stuff. Like I usually put pool noodles on the front down tubes, the wishbone, so that when I'm forcing the engine through it, if there's enough room, it's not bashing into it. And if there's not enough room for me to fit a pool noodle, I will use masking tape and I'll just do like fucking 6 to 10 layers of masking tape so that I keep, you know, the amount that I'm actually coming off the frame down so I can still fit everything in there. But that's going
One,
to keep you from,
on the instead of a pool noodle, what I've used is the pipe insulation stuff.
there you go. Yep.
It's thinner,
Right.
and they come in, standard sizes that fit around your frame, and I've had those, like, around, but they work
Yep.
good. Pool
Yeah.
noodles are
Those are
kinda
good.
beefy, but it depends on how
Right.
tight a squeeze it is.
Yeah, if you got some crazy up and out frame or whatever, you'll have plenty of room and you can fit that in there. But yeah, the skinny, like the conduit foam or whatever he's talking about, I've used that too. That works really good. Like the air conditioning shit.
It's a good idea to tape that on too, because sometimes they move around and there's a seam on them, so they could open up, and if you're putting something in, it might
Off,
twist
yeah.
around and yeah, fuck off,
Yep.
fuck your shit up.
And I recommend, I mean, obviously, especially with like a big twin or whatever, you can do it yourself, but have a homie around to help guide you in and make sure you don't fucking smash your knuckles in between the frame rail and the front cylinder. And
I'll tell you what, we Dan and shout out Dan, shout out to you and and Dead Kev came over this weekend. We put the shovel head engine in the frame, and
Mhm.
it is way fucking easier with 3 people. It took us like what, 10 seconds
But yeah, no time at
instead
all.
of doing it myself, which took me like 45 minutes
Yeah. And you're
wrestling around with that
sweating.
shit.
Exactly. You're sweating like a motherfucker and you're bouncing your knuckles off and your forehead off shit. And no,
Get a
especially
buddy.
when it's painted.
Get a buddy to help you. At least 1, if
Yeah.
not 2. Especially
Yeah.
once it's fucking painted, dude.
Exactly.
You have 2 dudes lifted up on one end, and one guy guides it in gingerly from the other end.
Receives it. Yep. Exactly.
And then you have someone looking at this side, that side, and then the back side, and making sure the clearances are perfect. And then you're also not sweating about to drop this fucking thing off the lift, because it's easily handled by 3 dudes, you know?
Yeah. Yep,
Fine
for
tuned.
sure. Yeah. So get help with that shit. More hands makes light work. And it's like we're saying, it's funny how fast these things will fall together when there's just a couple dudes around and you have all the shit, the tools and the whatever. Have all your tools and all that shit handy and your hardware. Figure out your hardware before assembly. Do that during mock up so that when you're doing assembly, like we've talked about, your shit's labeled and in little baggies. And I'm doing oil bag now. Here's the oil bag, and here's the little baggie that says oil bag hardware, and up, and now the
And
oil
all your
bag.
bolts are cut to length, and you have the right,
Right,
what sucks is when you have to go to the hardware store and you have a list and you're like, I need a 5/16 socket this and a fucking butt
hmm
cap this and a fucking, and then you have to go and drop fucking $100 on hardware at once. It's
right.
better to do it as you go.
Or they don't have it, and you're like, fuck, I really need. Like, I'm literally one fucking socket head bolt away from finishing putting my fucking bike together,
Yeah.
but I
Or you
can't.
have a coarse thread and you need a fine
Yeah,
thread and fucking
yeah.
that shit's a
That's
pain
mock
in
up.
the ass.
If you're doing that shit at this stage, you fucked up. You should have done that during mock up. So have all that shit ready. And then at this point, you're literally just putting stuff together. And then once everything's together, like your wheel is already spaced because you've already done that. Put your chain on, tension your chain. If you have to take a link out or whatever, do that now. And then your fucking primary belt and your primary assembly, and then make your oil lines. I make my oil lines usually out of rubber oil lines because it's simple. And if you route them well and if you turn they all have labeling on them. If you turn the labeling away from the outside of the bike, it looks really professional. Get clamps and route it all nice. You can do hardline if you want. That's sick. That's obviously the coolest way to do it. Stainless steel hardlines, Kona, everything or whatever. But that's super easy. Again, have a diagram, have your manual. It'll tell you exactly what ports need to go to what. If you buy an aftermarket tank, the oil tank off like Lowbrow or whatever, in the product description and shit, they will always have like a photo of like this port is your return, this port is your vent, this port is your feed, yada yada. So you don't back feed your oil pump and fucking whatever else.
Make sure there's oil in it too.
Yeah, make sure you put oil in it. Make sure at this point you're bleeding your brakes. Are oil lines putting oil in? Checking for any like static leaks, like before you even start the bike. Is it leaking? Is it overflowing out of this or whatever? You make sure you have a fresh oil filter on, like all that shit. Make sure you got air in your tires. Make sure your wiring's good.
Get a pre-ride checklist. They have them online, and this actually helps with the final assembly because it's all safety stuff. Like check the check the check the oil. I just did this. We're looking at the fucking Sportster, and I was like, I'd already started it up, and I was like, was there fucking an oil in that thing? And I looked in it, and I was like, oh no, I forgot to put oil in it. You forget because you get excited that it's coming together, and you want to start it and take it out.
Mm-hmm.
You want to start it up, but get a pre-ride checklist and probably like a seasonal maintenance thing, and just put those two things together, and it's going to get everything that you're going to need. Like Oil, if you have, like transmission fluid, don't want to start that fucking thing without any fluid,
Hmm.
like make sure that you have all the stuff that you didn't forget anything. Cause again, it's like to put this bike together, there's 1,000 things that all come together and the excitement of putting it together. And now it looks like a fucking bike that you fucking created. You skip steps. Really putting it back together goes so quickly that you
Hmm.
start missing stuff because you're so excited to get on it and start it for the first time, So try to slow down at this stage and get like some sort of checklist of just like stuff that you wouldn't think that you would forget, like fucking oil, like really
Hmm.
important stuff.
Yeah. Oil, gas, your petcock, you're doing your fuel line to your carb. And then once you have all that shit like buttoned up and whatever, it's time to turn that key and try and start that bike. And from there, you're hopefully in the tuning phase. Hopefully you get lucky and you don't need to tune anything at all and it just fucking runs and rides great. But, and then you're going on shakedown mileage and you're going through all the little bugaboos that arise and hopefully you're fucking enjoying your bike. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Shakedown. Yeah. Once it's all together, take it out, go slow, test, like slam on your brakes,
Yeah.
like make sure that your front end isn't jiggling loose, like Dan, I think
Hmm.
you do like the nail polish trick or whatever on the bolts, like some of the
I was just going to bring that up. So the stuff I use is called Torque Check.
oh, it's actually a product.
Yep,
Okay.
Torque Check. There's another one, but basically what it is, it's a paste. You can get it in all the different colors, so you can actually like color match it to your bike if you want. But what it does is, so say I put it on critical fasteners, as in if this fastener fails, I die. My handlebar risers or my axle nuts or any of that kind of shit, you make a line over the fastener and then over the bolt or your axle or whatever. You make a line so that if ever you look down at that and that line is broken, that means it is twisted and it's no longer tight and you need to tighten that shit back up. So it's just a very quick visual, like I can sit there on my bike and look over and look down at my axle and go, that line, I've got it. I put it so that I can see it. I didn't put it on the bottom of it, so I had to get underneath. When I'm sitting on the bike, I can look down and go, yeah, my axle nut's still tight. It's really good. It hardens, it stays
You
on really
Yeah,
well.
you can do that too. Like I do the smiley faces on the front end because like that's what I look at the front end and because I've had a Springer fall apart on me that I was riding because like a fucking idiot I didn't put the cotter pins in and I lost like the castle nut and the fucking bolts were all backed out. So I just do like anything like that stuff sounds great. Some type of marking, just a
Yeah.
dot with a sharpie
Yep.
just to see if anything's moving around. After a while, like, you can be confident that you've done a pretty good job, but definitely on the shakedown miles, at the very least, you're gonna want to be able to check those bolts because stuff does back out. You do forget things, and, yeah, if your front wheel falls off, you're kinda fucked. Can't really ride that one out, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Or if your fucking neck stem isn't tight and yeah, there's a bunch of shit that can go wrong. Ryan Crucy said it best. You can be an absolute hack of a car builder because that bitch has four wheels. If you fuck it up with a motorcycle, you're fucked. You know what I mean? So that's just make sure you're that like literally carry your their little tubey of Loctite with you when you're tightening bolts and you're putting shit on. Like have that right there. Every time you touch a bolt, you should be putting Loctite on that bitch.
Yeah, or the cotter pin or the fucking whatever is fastening it down, like, don't skip that. That's part of putting that bolt in. Or the torque, make sure that I'm not a big torque guy. I just do the Ooga Dooga method,
Hmm.
just Neanderthal that thing, but trust your Loctite. The other thing that you wanna do too, just a tip, shakedown miles, and I do this all the fucking time because 'cause I'm an excitable boy, but bring your tools. Bring your
Yeah.
tools because stuff will fall off and shit gets fucked up, and then you're stranded.
Hmm.
Then you're calling someone to come meet you with fucking a tool roll that you shoulda had on your bike.
Yep. Yeah. Try calling your wife who doesn't do anything mechanical at all whatsoever and be like, hey, babe, I need a set of snap ring pliers out of my toolbox. I'm fucking 3 miles down the road. Like, good fucking luck, dude. Been there. Yeah, it sucks. So bring your tool bag with you for sure. That's a good point. Or have a homie fucking tag along with you in their rig and just have some shit nearby. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're gonna wanna put, like that's the thing is you have to kinda put some distance between you and your shop because otherwise you're not shaking it down, like, you gotta get up to speed and see if it's wobbling or fucking whatever the
Right.
fuck.
How it
See if
idles
it
at a red light,
Yeah,
fucking all that
and
shit.
listen, like, you have to really listen to it, and so don't put on your headphones and your helmet and just fucking crank down the road, like, you're trying to identify problems, and once you're past that and, you're gonna find stuff. You're gonna hear something that doesn't sound right. It's like, "That sounds like loose metal, like, jingling around," or something, or, "That sounds like, that's an odd sound for an engine to make."
Mhm.
Take note of it, bring it back, and start fixing that stuff, like, immediately. Because then once that stuff's done, the shakedown miles are done, then you've taken your time, you've done great wiring, you've done great paint, you've done great engine work, you've done fucking good fab, then you can just enjoy the motherfucker, and that's what this is about. Building a fucking chopper is at the end of the day, at the end of the year, at the end of the month, however long it takes you to build this piece of shit, you did it by yourself with your own fucking hands, you have no business doing this. You just came out of fucking nowhere. You wandered into the middle of a movie theater in the middle of a movie and you're asking what the plot is. Hey, who's that guy? I thought he was with him. You have no frame of reference, man. But here you are. You have a fucking chopper that you built and you're going down the road with the wind in your hair and you should be proud of that, dude. And
Hell
you have
yeah.
something to show for it. Now you have a fucking heirloom you can pass down that your kid actually wants. You fucking loser. Now you have something cool you can do with your friends. "Oh, you wanna go to the bar and drink on Friday? How about we get on our bikes and go camping?" You know? "Let's go to a different state and drink beer. Let's have an adventure."
Fuck
That's
yeah,
what it's
man.
about. I can't fucking wait.
Dude, the best fucking feeling in the world is the first time you start your new build and then the first time you ride it. It's like it's not as good as having a child, but it's fucking real good. It's real fucking good.
It's
Like,
the best in a different way? It's like,
my God.
here's the thing, like, a lot of us dudes, we're very humble. We're not like we're self-deprecating, we call ourselves low lives. It's something that you can be really proud of, that you did on your own, against all odds. And then it's the coolest thing that I think that you can do. In my opinion, like, the coolest thing that a man can do is build a fucking chopper. It's an illegal death trap that you're gonna be cruising around with your buddies doing God knows what on. And that to me is like the that's like fucking nirvana, dude. Like, you've done something you have no business doing, and you did it so well, and look at you now, you fucking stud. You fucking king. You fucking queen.
100% Slay Queen.
Slay queen. Hashtag
Hell yeah.
hashtag slay queen.
It's so I truly hope that everyone who listens to this at some point experiences this process at least once. I know that there's some people on here that maybe don't aspire to be a builder, but if you're really into this and you're listening to us, you must be somewhat into choppers. You should really do it. You really should. If it takes you 10 years, who gives a fuck? Start now. Start right now. If you didn't start last week, start right the fuck now.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, here's the thing is your first build doesn't take a year, necessarily. It takes as long as it fucking takes.
Yeah, mine
It
took
depends on what's
Gypsy
going
Witch.
on in your fucking life.
Fuck, Gypsy Witch took like probably 3 years total for me to learn everything and like carve out the time to do it. And I mean, you're fumble fucking through it, obviously, the first time you're doing it. And back then, there wasn't this. There was none of this. We didn't know any of each other back when we were building our first bike. So it was like we all fumble fucked our way through it the entire time alone. You know what I mean? Now I can call Steve over at Fat Man Custom Motors whenever I want and be like, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. I can call fucking, you know what I mean? Tons of people and get an answer right away if I don't already know the answer. So it's like, it's a slog for sure, but it's so worth it. And if you're anything like us, once you get through that process on your first build and you slog through it and you catch yourself looking at that fucking thing every time you go outside or you go out to the garage or whatever, and you think about it all fucking day long, like you're in this. You're a lifelong
You
now.
do
You
look
know
at
what I
it like
mean?
that. You're just getting a tool out of your garage or something, and you look at your bike that you built fucking
Yeah.
2 years ago, and you're like, "Yeah, I fucking made you."
Absolutely, dude. I look at the scythe like that all the time, man. And like certain angles, I'm like, damn, I never saw the bike like that before. Like, that's a cool bike. Like, I did a good job on that. And it's like a reoccurring thing. Like, I did that. I fucking did that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't buy it like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's just something different about doing the entire fucking thing, soup to nuts yourself, and being like,
Something to be
just
proud of.
yeah,
Something to
it's
be
like
like,
years and years later, you're like, fuck yeah, dude. Like I'm still that bike's still fucking on the road. Haven't had to do a bunch of shit to it. You know what I mean? All the things that I did to it are still good. It hasn't fucking crumbled underneath my feet. You know what I mean? It's a fucking notch in your cap, and it's a confidence builder. When you start the next one, you're like, I just did that. Let's see what else I can do. You
once you
know?
build one, you're like, "I can do that again." You're like, "I
Yeah.
can 100% do that again. I can do it better." That feels even better. Like the bike I'm building right now, I'm so confident about it. Like, I'm just like, I've yes, there's gonna be new challenges and shit, but it's nothing I can't overcome, and it's gonna be the best bike that I ever built. Everyone gets better and better and better, and, you never lose that first start feeling.
Mm.
Like, you'll start this bike when I start it for the first time, it's gonna feel this it's better than heroin, because heroin, you're always chasing, and I don't know this firsthand, but I'm told, you're always gonna be chasing that first high, you know? With choppers, dude, you get that high again and again and again. Every time you build a chopper, you're gonna feel like the first time you kickstarted it got the fucking bike to go again. You did it
Yeah.
again.
I have a video on my phone that my wife took, and it was the very first time I got Boot Boy started. For those of you who've been rocking with us for a while, you know that bike's kicked my ass start to finish. But the first time I got that thing started, dude, my voice cracked and everything. Like I like screamed, "It's running!" and like my voice cracked and like it, dude. I turned into a little kid, and it's like, dude, I could have cried. Like I was so fucking happy that like all of this work just came to fruition. And it was like 2 days before the Lost Spot Chopper show, and it had to be done and whatever. It's just like, dude, it's such the elation that you feel when you're like, I fucking made this happen. Like straight up, especially if you've been in the motor and stuff and you're like, dude, it runs, it doesn't fucking leak. Like it's not exploded yet. Fucking it moves. Like, dude, there's nothing better. There's nothing fucking better. I'm so fucking horny just thinking about it, dude. I
Can't
can't
wait.
fucking I envision the day that I start the Panhead as a completed chopper all the time in my head, dude. All the fucking time. I can't fucking wait. That's just
Yep.
it's the best feeling.
And we're just advocating. We already know that you're gonna fall in love with choppers and that you're gonna build one day and it's gonna be fucking sick. And I can't wait to see it, to ride next to you. We want this for you. It's the best.
Mhm.
Choppers are the coolest motorcycles, and that's not even my opinion. That's just a fact of life. They're just the coolest motorcycles. I'm sorry, guys. Other motorcycles are still cool. Like scooters are cool. Daggers are cool, but choppers are the coolest. That's just a
Agreed.
fact. And when you build one yourself, that makes you the coolest.
Mhm.
Now you're the coolest.
And
We want
here's
you.
my
We want that for you.
absolutely. Here's my take on this. We are not experts by any means. We've built a handful of bikes between us. We are not fucking experts. But I can tell you right now, these last few videos in the series that we have made, if you have not built a bike yet and you are going to, you're going to be way fucking better off listening to this than we were when we started in the total dark. And maybe you found Chop Cult. You know what I mean? Like my first build, I hadn't found Chop Cult until like 3/4 of the way through the build. I was on wiring, and I think when I found it. So, if you found us and you're about to build a bike or you're in the process of building your first bike, this seriously is going to help you. We're not the only way to do it. We're not the only game in town, but we have both done countless bikes this way and they all work. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's a
after
good,
this,
it's a
guys,
good
I mean,
starting point.
you're going to be, this is the last of our How to Build Chopper series. This is part 5. We rounded it out with wiring and final assembly. So at this point, you're basically Nikola Tesla. You can fucking do anything you want with wiring. I mean, this is dead simple stuff. If anything, if nothing else, if For what we lack in chopper building knowledge, we make up for in passion. So you listen to this series, if nothing else, you should be inspired to go and do it yourself, and you absolutely should. But let's close this bitch down. Let's close this shit down. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, we love you more than a friend. Tune in next week. We got some fun shit coming. Fuck. Shout out Fat Man Custom Motors.
Guess who
Shout
drew
out
this, bitch?
Rhino for making the artwork for this month's MC Shop tees. Hopefully you guys like it. I did the best I could.
And if you didn't get it, you fucked up.
Yeah, you fucked up, dude. You guys got to start listening to me. When I say you got to do something, you got to do it. All right. This is the cult of the lowlife now. All right. And we're the messiahs.
Jesus.
I would like to start a cult. If anybody's interested in joining, I will be your false prophet. All right. Until next week, low lives. Get in the fucking garage, build a chopper. You know how to do it now. Get in trouble. Have fun. Never stop chopping.
Join a cult.
Deadbeat Customs. Steve over at Deadbeat Customs is all about grassroots motorcycle riders who build and customize their bikes. When it comes to building a custom motorcycle, they carry the best brands available. Go visit their brick and mortar store in Tewksbury, Mass, or at deadbeatcustoms.com. Remember, enter code LOWLIFE at checkout to save some money. Stay Strong Co. Jean-Luc makes the most heavenly hot sauces in the world. The shits, and hotter than a Harley and a pepper patch, Low Life chopper sauce. Go to staystrongco.org today and grab yourself the holy trinity of hot sauces. Beck Built Fab. Dustin is the plug for excess chopper parts. Drum, disc brake, mid controls, hand shifters, foot clutch, modded worm gears, intakes, and more. He can do any fabrication, weld repair, upholstery, or maintenance job. Check him out at beckbuiltfab.com. Revenant Chop Co. Connor isn't about overpriced lifestyle merch. It's chop clothing made for the garage, for the blue-collar builder who'd rather spend his money on parts than trendy tees. It's not just another stack of black t-shirts either. He drops wild garage-born designs that stand out, gear that looks great, covered in grease, or on the side of the road. Check out RevenantChoppers.com.